So you built your agency from nothing. Every client relationship, every creative decision, every quality check, it all ran through you. And for a while, that actually was kind of the point. Your taste, your standards, your hustle. And that's actually what made it work. But at some point, something actually ended up shifting and the agency grew. And instead of you feeling more free, you actually ended up feeling more trapped. More emails, more decisions, more people needing you for things that you never expected to still need to be doing. And the hardest part is that the agency actually does need you. It genuinely cannot function without you. And that's right, there is the problem. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go about thinking about it so that you're able to fix it. So let's talk about what founder dependency actually looks like. The reality is that every major decision actually runs through you. Clients expect to deal with you personally. Your team cannot move without your approval. You are there for the quality filter for everything that goes out. You can't take a week off, otherwise things are going to completely slow down and actually maybe be completely catastrophic. You are the agency, and that has created your trap. So what does that end up actually meaningfully costing you? You become the ceiling. And frankly, this is actually true as you continue to grow, is that until you're about at the $7 to $10 million worth of revenue, and even then, in some instances, it's still true, is that the revenue ceiling often is the owner's ceiling. And you can only do so much to actually be in that actual day-to-day. And so it ends up creating a ceiling. The business value, an agency that is dependent on a founder is worth so much less to a buyer if that is an objective for you to actually sell at some point. Business valuation, a lot of it is centered around key man or key woman risk. Freedom. We all had this concept of owning a business would allow for us to have some meaningful amount of freedom. And in some ways that's true. You own a job and you don't really truly own a business. And it has created for a distinction from you being an employee. And it actually maybe allowed for you to have greater fulfillment because you have greater control of the way that you do things. But that doesn't actually necessarily mean freedom in the way that we had initially thought it would. And the reality is that, team growth, people can't develop if you're always the answer. The reality, at least, and I'll talk about this from a first person's perspective for a moment, is that I learned a lot because people put faith and trust in me to actually do things throughout my career. And as I took on more responsibility, I actually learned a lot more in the agency world, which then allowed for me to continue to take on greater amounts of responsibility, that allowed for me to have greater impact, that allowed for me to now do what I do. But had it not been for someone trusting me to do something when I was much younger, then I wouldn't actually be where I am today. And then a thing that is incredibly important for every single one of us is it actually has an incredible weight on your mental health. Being needed by everyone, everything, everywhere, all at once is so incredibly taxing. And knowing that we have also created this reality weighs on us as founders. So why do we actually get stuck on it? In a lot of instances, it feels like the responsible thing to do because we are wanting to actually hold true to the things that we promised we would do. And then we end up saying and telling ourselves that nobody does it as well as we do. And that actually is probably true right now. Letting go feels like you're losing control of the business, of quality, and the team really hasn't been given the tools, the systems that they need in order to be able to step up. And no systems exist to actually replace you as the founder and your judgment. So you are the glue to everything. And so in order for us to shift things, you actually have to meaningfully shift your mindset to begin with. Your job is actually not to be best at everything, as much as we have enjoyed that. Your job is to build a business that is the best at those things and actually having people become the best at those things in their own right. There are people that do loads of things better than me, and that is not in any way offensive to me. It's like, I am great at this one specific thing and I'm going to continue to do that. And the more I spend my time doing that, the better that the business is, the better that clients are, the better that I am. Your standards can be documented and taste can be taught. Control through systems is more powerful than control through your presence. And it allows for you to be able to take some time off and not feel like everything's going to fall apart. The goal is not for you to be completely unnecessary. It's for you to be optional and needing to be there. And so an agency that runs without you is worth more, grows faster, and allows for you to have a life again, which I hope you do want. If not, you do you. So let's start with auditing where you are the bottleneck. What areas of the business are you the bottleneck? So I want you to map the decisions that are actually going through you in a given week. One of the things that I actually find particularly useful, being able to just have a book or a white sheet of paper off to your side to just writing the things that you're having to make decisions on, where people are coming to you. I want you to categorize each one of them into whether it's operational, whether it's client, whether it's financial, whether it's HR, whether it's operations, whether it's creative, which department is it coming from? Identify which ones you are the only one that can be actually doing that right now, which ones you just haven't let go of that is possible for you to let go of. And then I want you to look at which items are you going to start? Where are you going to be able to start? And the reality is there's a significant amount of work that you actually have that you can let go of. You just haven't actually let go of because we feel uncomfortable. And the reality of how I see the world is that you need to be able to make a choice to allow for some controlled crashes, to allow for people to learn, continue to grow, and actually see where things are going and where things are wrong. I've actually said this several times in the past week that I actually meaningfully do believe that a problem is just an opportunity in disguise, because when things actually come up, when these controlled crashes actually happen, it actually teaches you where there's an opportunity of what should be changed and what should be done differently in your business. Now you know what you should change, and 99% of success is actually figuring out what the problem is so that you can actually solve it. Step 2 is then start to document your standards around those things. So you had these 2 buckets, these 2 categories, all the decisions that you had, ones that you just haven't let go of, and the ones that you don't actually have a means by which to let go of. And so the ones that you don't actually have a means to let go of, let's start to document your standards around them, your SOPs. Your judgment, bluntly, is not magic, as much as I like to believe I'm magical. The pattern recognition is what you build over time. The ability to actually have risk assessment of what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. And you need to be able to build a mechanism by which to be able to do so. In some instances, you're able to just document it into a system, like a logic tree of things that should happen. And you can create these systems and start with the easier ones that don't have, 30 years worth of experience that it takes for you to be able to do so. Write it down, what those deliverables look like, what the steps look like, and what escalation looks like if a problem goes wrong. There should be, in most instances, about 80 or 90% of something happening in the same way. So take that, document that. And if it falls in that last 10%, there's an escalation process that maybe brings you back in the loop or someone else. Build up quality benchmark that the team can reference so that they can actually look back at it without having to reference you. So SOPs, creative briefs, feedback frameworks, all of those types of things need to be pulled out of your head and need to be set in a way that someone else can actually leverage it and utilize it. If it only exists in your head, it leaves when you do. And hopefully at some point you do leave the office and are no longer behind your desk. Step 3, I want you to build the right team structure. Someone needs to own your client relationships and these outcomes, not just you. Someone needs to be able to own creative quality, not you. Someone needs to eventually be able to own operations and not you. And bluntly, this is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to build this deliberately in order for you to be able to, one, hire for the mentality, the objective, the goals, and not just the skill, the actual true desire of what they want. And you're going to pick which one is the bigger bottleneck for you. And also, which one do you actually enjoy more? So if you really love the creative piece and you want to hold on to creative director, you're going to get rid of accounts and operations first. That's perfectly fine. Which areas do you want to start to delegate and remove from you? Now moving to delegating with appropriate intention. Delegation is just not dumping your responsibility on someone else. It's actually transferring ownership of what needs to happen with meaningful context. So you have the what, the why, the how, not just the standard, not just the task, but the logic that actually it takes for the person to do the job. They need to understand what complete looks like for them to actually be able to make it complete. And the reality is you need to let people make mistakes in a safe environment. That's how they grow. I mean, think about it. How many mistakes have you made? I don't even want to get into how many mistakes I've made because we'll be here for the next 10 years. The reality is that we have gained so much knowledge through making little micro mistakes, little micro problems, little micro misjudgments that allowed for us to now have learned through things. The example that I gave to a client actually within this past week was the reality of why we don't touch hot things anymore is because we know that it burns. And the same thing is true for your client, for your team, is that when they know that this is going to burn and that this isn't going to work, they will stop doing it and they will have a different judgment call of what's happening. And so I want you to resist the urge to jump back in when these things don't go right. You are undermining the process, the person. So I want you to check in on the outcomes, not the methods, because they need to solve for the methods themselves and actually be able to make these pieces happen meaningfully. And then I want you to remove yourself gradually. A key component of what I learned here was that someone cannot stand where you're currently standing. So start with one area, not everything all at once. You need to pick something that is relatively low risk, that makes you feel comfortable. Operations, some aspect of a client relationship. You're going to just stop showing up on the weekly meeting as an example, and you're going to set some timelines. I'm going to do it. I'm going to avoid being in this client call for the next 90 days. And I'm just going to I'm going to watch the recordings. I'm going to provide feedback. I'm going to coach and mentor and invest myself into this specific person. So now that they've got it, now I want them to actually build the system. So one of the things that I find particularly useful in my view is that there's a difference between being able to do something and being able to teach something. When someone's able to teach it, they really know it. And so one of the things that I've liked to do is actually mentor to a person to be able to get it to a place where it is meaningfully able to be done without me, and then get them to document the process, because now they are the holder to that process and the one that can meaningfully own it. And I also just didn't have to build the process. Measure what changes, revenue, quality, team confidence, all the pieces that are ultimately necessary through it. And each successful handoff builds the case for the next one and for you to be able to have the capacity to be able to do so. What does this mean for you and your agency on the underside? Decisions get to be made without you, and they end up being really great ones, even ones that would have been better than if you had been involved. Clients are looked after, they're getting the outcome without you being the point of contact, even having seen the work, all the way from new signature on a proposal to the work being completed and you had no part in it. Quality stays high, clients' outcomes are the same, standards are built into the system. You step away for a week, 2 weeks, a month, nothing falls apart. The business has value beyond you as a practitioner, and bluntly, that changes everything. Removing yourself from the day-to-day doesn't happen because you work harder. It happens because you build smarter. And the foundation of a business that runs without you is a team that you can actually trust. But building that team starts long before the organizational chart. It starts with who you hire and how. So I want you to watch this next video on the 5 costly hiring mistakes that are killing your creative agency, because the right people are what make everything possible.